少年ジャンプス。
What is love? Violet, don't hurt me. Hey, what the fuck is up? How's it going? Welcome back to Shonen Chumps, the only anime podcast on the gosh darn internet. As always, I'm Brennan.
I'm Sean.
I'm Dylan.
And if you didn't know, we watch anime together and then we hang out and we talk about it, and that's what this podcast is. If you're new here, welcome. Strap in, strap on. If you're a return customer, hey, what's up? How you been? You taking care of yourself? I hope so. Drink more water. Anyways, the anime that we watched this week was Violet Evergarden.
So just as a reminder, you can reach us at Shonen Chumps on Twitter, or you can email us at shonenchumps@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And wherever you're listening, we're also available on YouTube and Apple iTunes Podcasts and Google Play and any other place you get your podcasts. So if you're listening on one of those, check us out on the other one. Maybe if you need to. For convenience.
Yeah, fuck it.
We're also on SoundCloud if you're like a rapper on SoundCloud and you want to just go to our page or something.
We're if you want to spit on our opening track, that'd be sick. Send it to us.
Yo, remix that shit. We're not quite Little Pump, but we're getting there.
Guys.
Yeah.
Little Chumps.
Little Chumps.
Nice. In a sentence, what did you think of Violet Evergarden? Oh shit, now I'm getting nervous because I didn't think about what my sentence would be.
Sean, go first.
No.
Dylan?
What? No, it's usually me who goes first. Okay, I'll say that this started off very slow, but it ended up doing some things I really appreciated, and I enjoyed the anime. Period.
Nice. That was less of your usual style of describing shit than
I'd like to change
usual.
it up, whatever.
Fuck, man.
Can't tame this pony.
Are you ready, Sean, or should I go?
I'm not ready yet.
Okay.
You go.
Okay. At first, I thought this show was 100% bullshit until I saw the face of true bullshit in the form of another show that we watched called The Ancient Magispride.
I thought you were going to say, like, you hated the last... Okay, yeah.
No, and then returning to this show, I realized how much of a gem it truly is, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Whoa.
Yay!
Yeah, we're not gonna shit on this one, guys. Or maybe we will. Sean?
So, at first, I thought the show was bullshit, and then I watched it and Ancient Magus Bride around the same time, and I've lost all faith in anime.
Oh no,
dude!
Oh no!
Yeah, I want to say we kind
slipping.
of watched these shows at the same time. We actually started off watching Violet because we planned to release it earlier, and then we ended up switching it around, and so we switched focuses to Ancient Magus Bride.
Right.
And I think it's fair to say that all of us were not enjoying either of them very much. I think I was okay with Violet, but I think we all felt like none of these are that good.
I watched 3 episodes, like the first 3, and I was not sold on it. I was kind of like...
Of what? Violet?
Violet, yeah. I was like, this looks so nice, but also I don't give a shit about whatever postal service bullshit this is about. Like, this is not going anywhere. I don't know what this is. And then we watched something truly catastrophic. I'm so sorry if I'm hurting your feelings. This is just how I feel. I didn't like the Ancient Magus Bride. And then coming back to this, this show and the Ancient Magus Bride actually have a lot in common.
I agree.
Except, yeah, you do. But I think that Violet actually did a lot of things much better.
Interesting.
Right.
I want to hear more about why they're similar to you,
We'll get
but I
into
also
it.
want to say that if you're curious why we all collectively didn't like the Ancient Magus Bride, you can check out our previous episode.
Which is on the Ancient Magus Bride.
Yeah.
Magus.
Magus
whatever.
Bride. Our previous episode delves into that.
So we have reasons. We're not just shitting
Yeah,
on it for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have an hour's worth of reasons that you can listen to.
Yeah.
And it's not all bad. There are things I
Yeah.
think we liked, but mostly not.
Yeah.
Yeah, for reals.
But so is this, Brendan, you're talking about Violet Evergarden in the context of Ancient Magus Bride. Like you said, you thought it was bad, but then you saw something worse and that made this better. But
Also,
how
I
is
think
this
no,
on
no,
its
no.
own?
I think this is a good show. Like,
Okay,
no question.
cool.
But I
That's
just
good to know.
appreciate it even more because of how bad I saw another show do the same things that this show is trying to do.
So what did you think it was trying to do, and how do you guys say that it compares to Ancient Magus Bride? I don't want this whole episode to be a comparison, but I'm
Right,
Right.
yeah.
I'm intrigued.
Well, I mean, like,
It
First
felt
and-
similar in the beginning, but then it totally changed for me. So I want to hear what you guys saw.
I mean, in that regard, I think these two shows are both just shows about relationships, where it's like, oh, okay, you're gonna establish these characters, and then the entire story is based on how they interact with every other character in the world. And the big commonality here is one of the main characters in the Ancient Magus Bride, which was the Magus Elias, is like an unfeeling idiot who's trying to like comprehend humanity. And similarly, Violet, the main character of this show, is someone who clearly doesn't understand human beings because of just her circumstance in life. And she spends the entirety of the show trying to understand why people are people and what makes a human human, and how she can like wrap her head around the emotions and experiences that she's having. And I feel like the journey that both of these characters go on in Violet, hers is much more of an intricate progression, and each of her interactions with all the characters she meets along the way shows her a different aspect of like humanity, and it's all very much more nuanced, and it's all very much more based in reality and how people's like sort of views on like heartbreak and the loss of like family members, or like just pain in general, or like love and stuff like that. Just the way those things are formed in the world of Violet seems so much more like realistic and grounded in reality, and actually says something about the world that we as people live in, as opposed to the Ancient Magus Bride just pulling garbage out of nowhere and not having anything make any sort of logical sense.
Yeah, nailed it. Right. I agree a lot. I really like that Violet was grounded in reality.
Yeah.
Like almost completely.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost,
Other
yeah.
than, I guess, the fact that you can't have metal arms.
And you can't get your arm
like a-
shot completely off
Yeah.
by one bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was stupid.
Two
but
times.
this seems to take place in a kind of parallel universe to ours in, I want to say, like the 20s, roughly?
Yeah, it's like
20s, 30s?
It's like early 1900s, like
yeah.
turn of the century.
Yeah, it reminds me, like, this war that they fought, like, reminds me kind of like what World War One is-ish.
Yeah, it kind of seemed like sort of trench warfare, blitzkrieg, like World War II style sort of.
Yeah,
you know.
World
So you're
War
telling
One,
me
World War II.
it takes place at the same time as Full Metal Alchemist?
Dude,
yeah,
that's actually
dude.
when my first note was literally looks like it's in the 1920s, comma, slightly steampunky, comma, metal arms, comma, kind of like FMA.
Yeah.
I even noticed some of like this the sound design. I really like the subtleties of hearing
The
her
clinks?
metal arms.
Yeah, dude.
Like a lot, it reminded me a lot of Edward Elric. It was like really nice, subtle sound design with the arm, which I enjoyed.
For one of my notes, I just wrote down Full Metal Typewriter.
Yeah,
That's what the show is to me.
yeah. You took notes. That's great.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Some.
I wanted to, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm astonished that you like the show.
Really?
Man.
Wow.
Fucking blown away.
Okay, so I was kind of like, this is an okay show. It was nothing to write home about.
Right.
But then the last half, like episode 7 onward, I thought was just like great.
Yeah, man.
And it did a lot of cool stuff. Like the fact that it was based in reality was really interesting. And some of the the subject matter they were hitting on. First, like in Ancient Magus Bride, Elias is just some like ugly ass skull creature who's like an animal and doesn't understand his like basic human needs. Violet's like a child
deer.
soldier.
Yeah,
And that's like really interesting because like, I mean, those exist. We know what child soldiers are. Like their humanity is really taken from them.
Right.
And so this is about a character gaining her humanity and I guess like learning. Not like she wasn't like treated poorly as a child soldier. I guess she was like, they say that she was an orphan and then she was taken in.
Right.
And then she was just in the army. But it was really cool. Like the grounds for her learning about humans was infinitely more interesting here.
Yeah.
And it made sense. And it's something that I guess isn't too far off from our world. Like that's possible.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Like she's a character that could exist in our world.
Yeah, and I also definitely liked just sort of how little context or fuss there was around her like origin story. She isn't like some prodigal child of a great soldier or some shit. She wasn't like a test tube soldier who like broke free or some shit. There's no fluff. It's nothing. She just shows up and is just dragged into the army by what's the major's name? His brother.
Oh yeah,
the dude with the ponytail braid.
Yeah.
Well, that guy. He just ships her over in a box and is like, "Yo, look what I got. This is yours now." To his brother, and he's like, "Okay, I guess I'm gonna take care of this child." And that's just it.
Their last name is Bougainvillea or something.
Bougainvillea.
Okay, so he's Dietfried, and the major is Gilbert. But the brother is.
I'm just gonna call them Gil and D.
But Brennan, there's a little bit of that.
Gilbert's
Like,
brother.
sure, she becomes a soldier, but she's also like incredibly powerful, and people like revere her on the battlefield.
Right? Yeah,
and they're like, "Oh, it's
she's
the fucking
OP as shit." I just like that there's no explanation for it, and they don't dig into it more than is necessary.
Right. What we do know is that she's just an orphan, and so I kind of attributed that. Like, yes, it's almost like she's quite talented, but I just. I thought it was just like she's just been surviving on her own, and she's like this child who doesn't have a home, and she's just and I guess there's like this large war going on, so maybe she lost her home quite young as a child, and she's been on her own traveling and just doing whatever she can to survive.
Right.
And on that front, I really like that too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, she's definitely OP as fuck. Mm-hmm. But I just, like, compared to the fucking lore dump of the Ancient Magus Bride, this is just like, no fuss, no muss. Here's your character. She's hurt as fuck. She's got a hard life. Boom. We're in it.
Yeah.
Here's the story. Let's get to it.
Yeah. And because I can, like, I think sometimes when you explore humanity, that's like one of the themes that's being explored through the whole show.
Yeah.
Like it feels real. Like Violet feels like a real character, like I just said before. So that's why I enjoyed that.
Right.
I don't know. It all felt incredibly boring to me. Like she felt like an incredibly boring main character.
Yeah. So and so that's like totally fair because that's how I felt for the first half of the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Those
I
3
do
episodes.
agree. I agree with both your points. Dylan, I agree with your point saying that it got better after episode 7 or 8. Mm-hmm. It did get better. And Brennan, I agree that it's a better show than Ancient Magus Bride.
Yeah.
I still think the show is awful. but yeah. Something I want to bring up is that the concept behind like the auto memories dolls and like writing letters for other people made me think of that movie Her. The 2013, I think, movie Her.
Yeah.
Because it had the main character in that movie, I think, works for a company that writes letters for other people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like a company of employees who write letters to people that you love. And I think there's like employees in that company who are writing letters like to each other because both people or recipients in the family aren't writing for each other.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. And yeah, that came out in 2013. And I guess Violet started being written as a light novel in 2015.
Oh, neat.
It's possible that they just watched the movie and then tried to like throw that into their manga or light novel.
About that, I feel like there was like a lot of focus on like the craft of writing a letter and just like the medium of letters, I guess. And I was like, what are you trying to get at here? Like, it's very like, it's nice. Maybe there's more sentiment because it's like it's something that you take time out of your day to do, as opposed to like modern methods of communication where you just like shoot someone a text being like, yo, what up, rather than like writing them a letter and having someone like hand deliver it and blah blah blah. And the whole thing about like, oh, like people's emotions are, every letter deserves to be delivered. It's someone's precious emotions. And it's like, okay, it's fair, but I feel like there's a bit too much focus there. What I did think worked though was just how they sort of used letters as sort of just like it's just the vessel through which they deliver different stories about different human connections. It's like, oh, like the letter home from the dying son, or the letters between two arranged lovers who don't really technically love each other, I think.
Well, initially.
Or,
I guess they do, but they're like not sure if it's really genuine because they haven't seen each other.
They're like forced to fake it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the cool part of it. But I think the literal letter writing shit was a bit. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it's kind of like there's a lot of focus on this.
I didn't mind it because of just like the way you said it. Like I just accepted it as a vessel to go through the different stories each episode and have Violet learn more about humans in general.
Right.
And so I was completely okay with that.
But like the way the show started, it was kind of like almost the sport that like whatever shonen anime you're watching, like that they're trying to be the best at. Like it was the Beyblade. They're trying to be world champion of fucking letter writing. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go to letter writing school and be the best letter writer in the whole fucking town.
And
it's
that's
like,
why it had like that really slow start.
Yeah.
And it didn't really hit its stride until episode 7 for me. That was the episode with the writer who's trying to finish a play.
Right.
And it's like about his daughter.
That was pretty beautiful.
Right.
I like that.
And there was like a beautiful scene at the end where Violet takes the parasol and she jumps across the pond.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This show like looked pretty.
Yes.
All the way through, and that was one of the most beautiful shots. And then like the writer imagines talking to his daughter.
Right.
And she's as an adult. It was really cool.
I think everything looks detailed, but I didn't really like the character designs.
Oh,
like Violet's face is like, I don't know what's going on there.
It's very dead.
Yeah, it's very dead.
To the point where she has to pull her face around when people are like,
well, that was funny.
I thought that was funny. No, I did think the show looked really good. Mm-hmm. But because of how slow it started, my initial reaction was, oh, this is just all fluff. This is just something really pretty to look at, but it doesn't mean a damn thing.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of hinted at in the beginning, but a plot point, or sorry, a theme that they really start to drive home toward the end, probably from, I think, around episode 8. Yeah, episode 8, because that's the flashback to like how Violet was found and got to know the Major and her battles and stuff.
Yeah.
But the perils of war.
Yeah, dude.
And I really enjoyed what they were saying. And I mean, you know, I haven't watched a ton of anime, but I haven't watched an anime that's so grounded in reality.
Right.
And also like addressing things like this.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like some of the stories, and people going through PTSD. That's
right.
Kind of like Violet's going through PTSD.
Definitely.
Suffering from PTSD.
She's trying to come to terms with the fact that
like,
her someone she cared for deeply literally died in front of her.
Yeah. The Luculia, the girl she meets at school, her brother Spencer.
Oh yeah, he's an alcoholic.
He was injured, and now he's an alcoholic, and he can't hold down a job.
Right. That was like, heavy, and it's fucking real, dude.
And that's like a whole thing after World War I. People who were like, quote, shell shocked, right? The lost generation, I think. There's like another nickname for them. Like people didn't really understand what they were going through.
Right, because no one else had experienced.
Yeah, no one had experienced it, and like I guess level. Explorations into psychology,
dude,
was like far along. You couldn't like diagnose what those people were going through.
Yeah.
So, we get hints of that initially, but later on we get it a lot more. It even explains why the Major's brother like hates Violet. Like we see it toward the end. He's like, "You didn't save my brother."
Yeah, right?
And like even just him calling her a killing machine. It was really interesting. Like in episode 1, what's the guy's name who runs the company?
The red-haired guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Oh, man. Hodgins. So Hodgins says to Violet in the first episode, like, you have scars, like, you're burning.
Oh,
and
dude,
later on, in episode 8 or 9, I think Violet says, like, they talked about how they're burning again, and Hodgins says, like, they're all burning. They have invisible scars. And in that episode, episode 9, this is after she found out the Major dies, she's in her room and she tries to choke herself, dude. Like, she tries to kill herself with her fucking mechanical that was so powerful to me.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. Right? I definitely agree. That was, like, super hard hitting.
Yeah, and, like, that to me, that became, like, the whole point of the show. This is a show about the experience of war, like what you go through after. How it's, like, hard to get along and just, like,
there's no coming back to a certain degree. Yeah.
We even have in the last episode, the second last episode, episode 12. So some backstory if people watch the show and they can't remember the exact story, but it starts off a war has just ended between what's called Leyden Shaflich and Sidrigal.
Right.
Something like that. But they have peace now, but then there's people in Sidrigal
like
still want to keep fighting.
Dude.
And which was so interesting. And then in episode 12, when the rebel forces have taken over the train and Violet's standing on top of the train talking to the leader of the bad guys.
Yeah.
She says, like, the war's over. And he says, like, do you honestly feel that the war ever really ended? You and I have the memory of violence burned into us like scars, and it'll never be over.
Dude.
And he says, we dreamed the war would end. We thought we would receive glory that was promised to the living and the dead. But when we got back, we were betrayed and abandoned. So what's wrong with wanting to destroy everything?
Oh my fucking
that was just, like, dude. Such a powerful... I wrote down most of it. But it was like, that was such a powerful scene. Like, we're seeing, like, the drive for this guy and Violet and the Major's brother, even Hodgins, like, wanting to kind of escape war. Like, he retires right away. Like, we see the profound effect that war had on all these different people and the paths they took.
Yeah, man. Okay, this is one part that I'm really surprised didn't resonate with you, Sean.
Yeah.
Because as some of you longtime listeners may or may not know, we are fans of Metal Gear. Mm-hmm. And everything you just described is, like, more or less the base of Metal Gear and, like, what it's sort of built on, that idea, especially with, like, Big Boss. There's a line that I forgot what her name was. She's the girl who works at the post company with the black hair.
Catalea?
Catalea. She's like, some people can't live without war. Or something like that. Or, like, when they're speaking in reference to those people who are against the peace treaty and stuff like that. And everything that he was saying, it's sort of in line with the whole character of Big Boss. And the whole idea that once you go and you've lived on the battlefield, that just becomes your world. And when you return to society, there's no more place for you. And then that sort of, in Metal Gear at least, it leads Big Boss to start his own nation of soldiers and try to create, like, a world of eternal war, basically. Or at least to his life and his whole being and everyone who thinks the same way that he does, to exist in a constant state of conflict, because that's all they're good for and that's all they'll ever be. And that's what Outer Heaven was. Mm-hmm. And that whole ideal and that whole train of thought, again, is reflected in this show and how characters deal with coming back from conflict and, like, stuff like that.
Agreed. Like, this quote-unquote bad guy isn't really a bad guy.
Yeah,
he's part of the nation that lost the war.
Right. He's
and you know, if they come back to society, they don't get a thanks, and they feel like they were shafted.
Yeah.
You know, they're drafted into a war to become killers.
And then they're treated like dog shit when they lose.
After.
And if they'd won, who knows if it had been different.
Yeah, and even people on the winning side, like Violet's quite broken from the whole experience. Gilbert's brother is too.
Yeah,
Hodgins, they don't delve into it a lot, but he says he has scars, and they just kind of say, like, he retired and he just tried to start, like, this Auto Memories doll company, dude, right?
No one walks out in one piece. Everybody's burning.
Yeah, and actually that's another thing that I really found interesting is early on, Gilbert's brother says to her, like, how can you just be a letter writer now when you've, like, killed so many people? And then later on, she talks about it with Hodgins about how they're all burning. And I guess and at the end of the episode when they talk, they say like Hajin says that even though she has all these scars, her work as a doll won't be forgotten either, and it kind of flashes back to the different people that she's helped.
Right.
And that was like a really powerful message too, because it's Violet wonders if she's worthy of being a doll, if she can write these letters with all the bad things she's done.
Exactly.
And Hajin's saying like, you've done those bad things, but you've also done good things, and that's worth something.
Yeah, even though you can't erase what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably how a lot of people coming back from a war would feel.
Right, yeah. I like that the show doesn't sugarcoat the fact that you can't like wash blood off your hands, and there is no like happy ending to this show really, because when Hodgins is explaining or like talking to Violet at first, he doesn't have a good answer when she's like, do I deserve to live? He's not like, oh yeah, you're fine, you're good, look at all the good things you do, like right off the bat, because he's confronted with the same thing where he's like, do I deserve to live with all the shit that he's done and he's seen? It's like this show brings up some really like hard questions, and I liked it a lot.
And for that reason, despite the slow start, this is why like I ended up really liking the show.
Right, yeah.
Because it really brings it
and
in the second half.
It became something that I didn't expect it to become at all.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, because like those things are hinted at the beginning, and you think it's just like, oh,
it's
like
gonna
the
be
Beyblade
cute.
thing, like, oh, I'm like gonna become a letter writer, and maybe it's gonna be like slice of life. Like I'm like learning a little bit of humanity. And it's fun,
right.
But like becomes totally different.
And like even with like they do introduce Violet. Like in those first few episodes, it's like established that she's like a super soldier of sorts, where she's capable of violence and all this crazy action. But also it's like when you see that, you kind of just assume, oh, later down the line, her friends are going to be in trouble, and then she's going to save her friends, and they're going to make an excuse for a cool action scene. And that's never the case. It's just like the only times you see action are when it's like a flashback to a really like fucked up traumatic battle, you know? I don't know. I liked it. Sean, you've been awful quiet.
Have you been convinced? Has
Have
any
we
of this
sold
like made
this
you
to
think
you
differently
yet?
about the show? Like I wonder.
Yeah. So I kind of wish that I never watched the show, and instead like Dylan made like a 15-minute video essay on why you should watch Violet Evergarden, and I just watched that and I just nodded along happily, and then the video ended and I never watched the show anyways.
Really?
That would have been great, because your explanation of the show right now has been much, much better than the show was at explaining itself or doing things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
I thought the best episode, or like the closest that the show got to being like worth watching, was probably the episode with the mother and the daughter, and the mother like writing letters to the daughter every year of her life after she passed away. But even then, it was kind of cheesy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
To like a degree, I can see that for sure. But I don't know. I feel like parental death is something that happens in like every fucking anime that's ever existed ever.
Sure.
But the way they sort of approach this, where you're thinking throughout the whole episode, you're like, okay, yeah, no shit, they're writing a letter to her in the future, and this episode's gonna end with her being like 40 and reading the letter and being like, oh, I'm sorry, I was sick and I couldn't blah blah blah, anyways, have a good life, love you, bye. But and it was sort of that, but it was also like I wasn't expecting a letter every year for fucking 50 years or something.
Yeah, I wasn't
like,
expecting to see all of them too, and see the girl go through her life.
Yeah,
that hit me hard, man.
Me too. I was like,
that
fuck,
was
this
beautiful.
This is so nice.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting.
And that's actually, I think that's also a big breakthrough for Violet. Like she gets quite emotional at the end of
She
the
starts
episode.
crying.
Yeah, she's like,
it's like,
she's
man,
not going to be there.
I don't know. I don't remember which episode it is that you first see Violet cry, but when you do, it's like you've been following her through this journey where like she's interacting with people, she's learning different parts of what it's like to be human, but when you see it like click in her head and she has an emotional response, I think it's pretty powerful, because it's like, oh wow, she gets it. And I get it too. I get exactly what you're trying to say, writers of Violet Evergarden.
Yeah, it was great. I'm trying to think of other things that I really enjoyed. Oh, episode 11 was quite powerful too. That's where she writes the letter for the soldier that's dying.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that was rough.
What was even especially powerful was that they didn't pull any punches with that, with the rebel squad like annihilating the forces from Citadel, just like that sniper.
Oh, that
and
dude
a couple times. And what was beautiful also was that the sniper wasn't necessarily like a big bad either. He like, you can see like him pausing, but but you can see him like pausing before he like snipes the people,
right?
Because he's a human too. But he kills like every one of those people in Aiden's squad.
It's pretty rough, man.
Yeah.
And also, even hearing that kid being like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Don't let me die. I'm scared to die. It's like, fuck, am I watching Full Metal Jacket right now? Like, holy shit, dude.
He's like a kid. He's like 18 or something. And he writes like a really powerful letter to his parents and to the
it's so sad,
to the girl
man.
he loves, Maria. But one of the things he says to his parents, like he says like, thank you, like I'm so grateful that I was your son.
It wasn't supposed to turn out like this.
Yeah, he says stuff like it wasn't supposed to turn out like this. And then he says, if like reincarnation is real, like if you're born into a new life, I really hope you end up marrying each other, and I hope I get to see your son again. I hope I get to be your son again.
That sounded trippy for a second.
Yeah.
I hope I get to see your son from third person, so I know how he stacks up to me.
Yeah. He says, like, I hope I get to be your son because it wasn't supposed to be this way.
I
like,
know.
my life wasn't supposed to end this way. And
that was
then,
heartbreaking.
And then he says to Maria, like, I don't want to die. I want to come home and be by your side. Wait for me.
And she gets her fucking handkerchief delivered to her with his blood on it.
And there's even a part where like he's dictating what he wants to say to Violet, and when he says I love you, the sound like cuts out for like the I love you, which was like also like I was like, whoa, like because he doesn't ever get to say it. I was like, oh fuck, dude.
Right.
And she's just air typing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That was a little stupid, but whatever.
Yeah, it was a bit out there, but the rest of that episode
overall,
was,
the sentiment there was incredibly powerful.
I thought so too.
And so every episode after episode 7 hit me pretty powerful.
Brennan just looking at me, waiting for me to say something.
Sean's got nothing, man.
Quiet, Sean.
Guys, the only thing I want to say is every single time that you said like, "Oh, that was powerful. That was moving. That was interesting. I thought that was really like intense and beautiful." I've agreed with none of it.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, man. I don't know what to say.
I mean, say that.
I just did.
It's okay. You can think differently. You can feel different. It's fine if you're a callous shell of a man.
No, this show made me into Violet in the first episode. I started as Violet in the 13th episode and became Violet in the first episode. Tears went back into my eyes. My eyes became dry. I stopped caring about humanity watching this.
So wait.
My God.
Can you break down the shit that you hated the most about this?
Honestly, I
Sell
can't...
me into hating this. No. I want more things to hate.
Honestly, I would if I could. I've done that for previous anime that we've watched. This was just so immensely boring. It was so mediocre. I didn't even find things to dislike. It was just...
That's very disappointing.
Run of the mill.
That's very
Did you make any Metal Gear connections with the stuff they're saying about war? Did that come to mind at all?
No.
Now hearing that though, doesn't make you feel anything though?
No, I like what you guys are saying, but it doesn't make me like the show more, and it doesn't want to make me rewatch it to understand what they were saying.
Fair enough.
But I like what you're saying. It sounds very interesting. I just don't think that the show was interesting.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I don't think I would rewatch this necessarily, but I did have a much better time than I was expecting watching this show. Oh, one thing I can say is that I really didn't like the final shot of the final episode, where after that whole thing where she writes her letter to the major, and it gets released in this festival or whatever, and everybody's sentiments are floating in the air, and she finally comes to terms with his death and the fact that he's gone, and the fact that she can continue living and try to lead a good life because it's what he wanted, and she finally understands what he meant by I love you, because she's experienced so many different kinds of love, and she's seen so many different people express their love and their grief, and now she gets it and she feels it and she knows what she's feeling. She can put it into words. But at the very end, all of that's just kind of like the rug gets pulled out from under you, because they sort of
hint that the Major's alive.
Yeah, and that he's just fucking chilling in a cottage outside of, like, on the outskirts of town or something.
Yeah.
That was real fucking stupid.
The door opens and she just blushes and she's like, oh, it's like, what?
Well, wasn't that blatant,
I mean...
yeah, that was the next thing I wanted to bring up. It reminded me a lot of the end of The Dark Knight Rises, where Michael Caine, like Alfred, goes and sits at that restaurant and then he sees Bruce Wayne and then he just cuts back to him and he like nods.
Yeah.
That's exactly, which I also felt like they shouldn't have shown Bruce Wayne in that shot.
Right.
Should have been more ambiguous.
Right.
I felt. And then in this case, though, we don't see Gilbert, and we don't know it's actually him, but we can
Who else
assume
could it
because
be,
he's
right?
like, she's surprised, and then she smiles.
Who else could it be?
Yeah, and I think that was maybe that definitely should have been done. It was a much stronger ending to just end with
Him being dead. I was
him
like,
being dead, like all the letters showering down, and that was closure enough.
yeah, my train of thought is, okay, the show's gonna go as far as to, like, when you think, oh, this could have a corny, cheesy, happy ending, everything's tied up with the bow, everyone makes it out alive, oh, that guy who got shot, he gets better, he meets his childhood girlfriend again, everything's fine. This show had so many opportunities to take the corny route to make you feel good,
But it didn't pull punches.
it didn't. And it's like, at the end of the day, it was like, fuck you, I'm gonna make you hurt. You expect it to resolve nicely because in every other anime, when shit like this happens, there's some kind of resolution. And in this case, there's not. It's just loss. And you're sort of supposed to feel loss the way Violet sort of interacts with the idea of loss. And they do that whole thing, and you're like, okay, this show's got some balls. It's gonna take the risks that other shows are not willing to take. And listen, to that dude who thinks we have a boner for death, just allow me this. Just allow me this one time. Because, like, what the fuck? How are they gonna do this at the very end? Why? It doesn't make any sense that Gilbert would be alive and he wouldn't tell anyone. He wouldn't tell his brother. He wouldn't tell his mom. He wouldn't tell red-haired man at the post office.
Hodgins.
He wouldn't try to find Violet. Why would he be alive and just exist in solitude?
He's shell-shocked. He's like Roy Mustang at the end of Full Metal, the original series in the movie, when he's got an eye patch living in a shed in the snowy wilderness. Anybody?
Maybe that should be censored.
What?
I don't know, in case that's like a spoiler.
Nah, fuck
It's the
it.
end of the show. Okay, wait, so Brendan, I agree with you totally. I wanted to talk about that, and I appreciate that the show didn't pull any punches. Although, I felt like by that point, it surprised me that they decided to hint that Gilbert was there. Like, I wouldn't say that was what they were leaning towards, because I think early on I had the suspicion that, oh, the Major must be alive, because that's the way things work.
Right.
And then by, I guess, episode 8 or something, I was like, okay, great, the Major's not alive. They're actually going for it. And episode 13, I wasn't expecting a happy ending. Like, I was expecting the bittersweet, poignant ending that I guess we were getting.
We were to...
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, it didn't seem like...
we started getting that ending.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it was a surprise that they ended up going the safe route. Like, I thought this show wasn't doing the safe route. And this is obviously all speculation. I guess it could be that it wasn't Gilbert. I guess maybe we'll see. But based on what they're hinting at, I really disagreed with the fact that they wanted to hint that the Major could be alive.
Man.
Because I think that misses the whole point of the show, and the reason why I liked the last half of it, and the whole show in general, but I really like the themes that they brought up.
Now,
It's all for nothing if the Major's alive.
you said that we might find out because the show might continue.
Yes,
I don't want it to.
So
I don't want it to, honestly.
I think like a while back they announced an OVA, and then I think like 2 weeks ago they said there's something else coming, and we don't know.
Yeah,
if it's
the
another
official
OVA.
Twitter account said that something is happening, and frankly, I don't know if that means a new anime or a new, like, the novel is going to keep going on. I don't really know what they were talking about, but it's probably an anime.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, there's an OVA happening in July. We can figure that that's probably going to be like an in between story.
It is,
Right,
yeah. It's
episodes,
supposed to be
Yeah.
like between episode 4 and 5 or something.
shit,
Something
okay,
like that.
right.
But I thought there was something else coming in addition to the OVA. So maybe it's
Yeah.
season 2, maybe it's the books, maybe it's another.
It could, yeah.
We
just
don't know.
something
Like,
new.
But I don't think it should continue. Like, in terms, there
Yeah.
shouldn't be a season 2. I think the show ends. Save for if you can get over the Gilbert thing, whatever, fine. But if people are happy with that, whatever. But the show doesn't really seem like it has a place to continue. Like, I think it
doesn't need to.
It served its point really well, and I'm happy with it for the most part.
Yeah, which
and
is
continuing it, I don't even know where they would go. Like, what can they do about this show that would be interesting, unless they just change what it's about? If it's not about humanity and the perils of war, then I'm not interested.
Violet Evergarden Brotherhood. Where after episode 6, it goes on a tangent. And different story, different ending. Yeah.
Fuck.
Homunculi.
Shit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the way they wrapped it up is like the equivalent of like the ending title appearing, just being like the end, and then a question mark fading in beside it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, stop. Like, even if you want to make a season 2, what are you going to say that you haven't already said? Which is why I like these sort of singular, like anime in a vacuum, where it's just a story told in like 24, 28 episodes, maybe sometimes less. And that's just it. It's just this capsule of story.
Yeah.
It's like, here you go. Dive into it. This is what this is. And then it's done. And then they don't cash in on it. If they want, they make something new. I just feel like there's no need at this point for any more Violet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you got attached to the characters, it's like, well, shit, man, write a fan fiction. I don't know.
What if it's new characters?
We need to be
story?
Okay with endings.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
That's more North American society than like Japanese, though.
Right.
Like shows that go on way too long.
Are you sure? What about Yu-Gi-Oh? Or like
Naruto,
Digimon, Beyblade,
Dragon
Naruto.
Ball.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, those shows.
One Piece.
Right, okay, that's fine, but I misspoke.
So
but
many
fine, then we as a
episodes.
society need to be more okay with endings and closure.
Yeah.
Finite shows.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
They're better. Quote me on it. Not that that's that hot of a take, but
I mean, they just have more of an opportunity to hit you where
Yeah.
it hurts. And then, because I mean, the more they hit you in that one spot, the more numb you're going to go to it.
yeah,
Like, if they do the same thing, I'm not going to give a shit.
yeah.
I won't watch it.
Death Note was perfect.
Yeah, man. You can't touch
fucking
Death Note.
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist was perfect.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop was perfect.
Untouchable.
Yeah.
Finite show.
Didn't need a
Doing what
movie.
Which one?
Cowboy.
Metal? Oh.
Cowboy didn't need a movie, but
didn't
it was
need-
good though. The movie offered some interesting insights.
Right.
Right. I'm kind of blanking on what happened, but yeah, I remember it.
It's all just a dream,
Not
my
necessary,
guy.
but
Yeah.
oh yeah.
They also touch on
It was
Spike's
interesting.
relationship with Julia. He talks a bit about Julia.
Right,
with the
yeah.
girl
We get
when he's in
backstory.
prison. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out our fucking Cowboy Bebop episode.
Yeah. Great episode, if I do say so
It's
myself.
one that we're proud of.
Yeah.
But yeah, Violet fucking Evergarden. I don't think I have a lot more to say about this. To be,
I guess that's
to be
all.
honest.
Oh, there's actually. I think that's all I have to say. Oh, there's one other thing that I wanted to say, which was just like a weird, funny quote, which is the backstory of Violet and how she came to be with Gilbert, and then Gilbert's talking to, I guess, a general or something, and he's saying like Violet should be in like the front lines or some bullshit like.
Oh, yeah,
and he's
it's
like,
like
oh no, she's
user.
gonna be in danger. And then he's just like, hey, don't get so worked up about this. Just exploit this orphan girl as much as you can and then dump her on the battlefield when she's of no use to you. It was just like a really weird line that came out of left field. Like, anyway, I was like, geez,
I was like,
dude.
holy shit. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. That was
Yeah.
It's like no subtext whatsoever.
Yeah. But it just like, kind of, don't get worked up with it. Just exploit this girl and toss her aside.
because that's something a real person would say.
Sounds like somebody writing frat boy dialogue.
It's your initiation, bro. Don't you want to be a Kappa Alpha Gamma?
Yeah, dude, just exploit her. Just exploit her and then toss her aside.
Good God.
Oh man. So the voice actor of Violet Evergarden,
In English?
yeah, in English,
Yeah.
is named Erica Harlacher,
Okay.
and she voices An Takamaki in Persona 5.
Oh, yeah, right.
Takamaki-san. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's my contribution.
And no other interesting crossovers, like other things we've seen.
I
mean-
didn't really look into it
I think
because
this
none
was-
of the characters in the show meant anything to me. So I just figured I'd get Violet.
I think this was made by Kyoto Animation, who also
Yes, it
made
was.
Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid,
Right. That makes
which is
sense.
a very different anime, but also another very good-looking one.
Yeah, I really like how Miss Kobayashi looks. Sorry, not the character. also the character though. But
Yeah, I established you were in love with her.
Yeah.
Okay, so final thoughts. Would we say we'd recommend this to anyone? Would you guys?
Honestly, I don't know if I would. It's hard to say because I feel like this makes you feel a very specific way, and I don't think everyone wants to feel what this anime is going to at least try to make you feel.
Clearly not.
I want to recommend this anime, but I'm not sure who I could recommend it to.
Yeah.
Right.
And the slow start, I can definitely picture being off-putting to people because
no
it was
question.
kind of off-putting to me. Like, I wasn't turned off, but I was just like, oh, this is like okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would recommend this to nobody. Just because, like, as I was watching it, I didn't pick up on any interesting plot points that I think that would be interesting to anyone else.
Fair enough.
If that makes sense.
I mean, I definitely liked this, but I think it's just something for me to watch and enjoy. And I wouldn't, like, I'm not kicking down any doors to be like, yo, stop what you're doing and watch this show. Because, I don't know, it might not
Just
click.
picturing us doing that on the regular to people.
Just kicking down people's doors and be like, hey, the fuck are you doing right now? Watch Made in Abyss.
It reminds me of, like, the idea of us doing that reminds me of from The Simpsons, like, Bone Storm. I don't know if you remember that.
Buy
Bone Storm or go to hell.
hell.
But I just picture us just, like, being, like, badass Santas kicking down kids' doors and demanding that they watch shows.
Anime, oh
Anyway.
God.
So if there's a sequel series, would
Yeah.
you guys watch it?
I mean, yeah, I think for everything that we've watched... Okay, no, wait, that's not true. But for a lot of things that we've watched, I would watch the sequel series, even if I don't think they should have a sequel series. So for this one, I would, yes.
I feel like I might get curious, but I probably wouldn't on principle.
I think I would have to know, though, where they were going with it.
I'd get the spark notes from you. I'd be like, Dylan,
True.
is it garbage? And you'd be like, yeah, it's exactly what you think it is. And I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I'd probably wait for one of you guys to watch it, and then I'd ask you if it was good, and regardless of what you guys told me, I'd be highly skeptical,
And then you wouldn't watch it.
and then I probably wouldn't watch it. Almost definitely not watch it forever
Right.
and ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen.
Sick.
So we've been the Shonen Chumps.
We still are the Shonen Chumps.
We will forever be the Shonen Chumps that you can find on Twitter at Shonen Chumps. You can email us shonenchumps@gmail.com.
And again, all of you guys who've been talking to us, thank you so much. It's really nice to talk to you guys. It's really nice to know that there are people out there who give a shit or who enjoy this show. It makes making it that much more gratifying. Shout out the communication squad.
Yeah.
Fucking hell yeah.
Put your S's up in the air. Shonen Chumps. It doesn't look cool at all.
It's really nice. It's a very awkward hand
We
sign.
need to come up with a hand logo.
We need better
We'll tell
branding.
you about it.
We'll
Yeah.
get back to you.
All of our listeners are my major.
Yeah.
They make me feel things. I would lose both arms for you.
Aw, sure.
And I will type you a letter whenever you so desire.
Yeah, type us
We
your
will.
letters.
We actually will
legitimately
type
will.
back. Like emails, electronic mail.
Or tweets, or
Electronic letters.
or YouTube comments, or iTunes reviews, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Just let us know you're there. Please?
Why did we do that at the same time? Okay, bye!
See you, Space Cowboy.
Peace out.